The Blind Muse Foundation had the privilege to tag along with the American Federation of Government Employees, Local 252 Union, on their powerful journey to Capitol Hill. Together, they met with Senator Elizabeth Warren, speaking directly about the real-world impact of staffing cuts within the U.S. Department of Education and how those cuts affect not just employees, but students, families, and communities across the nation.
A group photo of the Local 252 standing in front of the large sculpture in the main area of the Hart Senate office building called Mountains and Clouds by Alexander Calder.
The AFGE Local 252 represents approximately 2,400 Department of Education bargaining unit employees nationwide, people dedicated to serving our nation's learners every single day. As a chapter of the American Federation of the Government Employees, Local 252 is part of a larger movement, more than 700,000 federal and D.C. government workers standing together to ensure fair treatment, strong workplace, and equitable opportunities for all.
A group photo with Senator Warren. From left to right, Todd Tolson, Alexandria Bolden, Christine Grassman, Senator Warren, Edward James, Ashley Walker, and Joey Golinker.
So Christine.
Hi.
Hi, I'm glad you're here. Thank you for being here. So tell me about your work at the Department of Education.
I am the conflict resolution specialist in the Randolph Shepherd program within the Office of Special Ed and Rehab Services. We have recently received notices that as of December 9th, the entire program's all of my colleagues and myself will be separated from the department.
Okay, so the program you work in at the Department of Education is being shut down.
Yeah. The Randolph Shepherd program is actually a program that is 89 years old. It was enacted by Congress in 1936 to
Back in the 30s.
Yes,
okay.
Way back.
It
enables blind individuals gives them a priority to operate businesses on federal and other property.
So here's this program that's about 90 years old. And basically, it's a way for people who are blind to be able to run a business.
Yes.
And have an opportunity to support themselves,
Yes.
to be able to support their families. And if this program gets shut down, tell me a little bit about what that's going to mean for some of these individuals.
Well, approximately 1,200 vendors right now have businesses, some of whom have military dining contracts. And they would be thrown into chaos, as would the state licensing agencies, because the Randolph Shepherd program at the Department of Education, we are essentially in charge of assessing the programs, doing monitoring, whether it's desk monitoring, on-site monitoring. We have an annual report that they fill out to let us know how the programs are doing so that we can have accountability. And most importantly, we oversee the complaint process, which is open to both vendors who have violations with the state licensing agencies or state licensing agencies who feel that federal agencies are not following the act.
Okay, so what's going to happen is that you're the folks who are supposed to administer this program. There are right now about 1,200 people in the program who are blind, who are running their own businesses. And how that whole program can even survive, I take it, is now at risk.
There won't be any federal oversight.
Okay, so
It'll be gone.
So the program just kind of goes up in smoke at this point.
Yeah,
right?
that's what it looks like.
Wow. And so for those 1,200 folks, what does that mean for them?
They will likely lose their livelihoods, or perhaps the states will no longer be interested in running the program because there won't be any accountability or ability to get technical assistance or guidance. It's possible that some of the federal agencies will say, well, there's no more priority. We don't have to follow this. We don't have to have a program here.
So when people who are blind lose these jobs, where do they go next?
That's a good question. Normally they would go perhaps, and try to find a job, but for example, myself, I'm 56 and I'm a blind woman. We already know that that's difficult in this age to find a new job, but for people with disabilities, to be, tossed out when we're doing a good job, to try to look for more work, they could go to a vocational rehabilitation agency and perhaps open a file with them. But if the vocational rehabilitation agency does not have the funding or has been gutted in some other manner, in federal agencies, then they're not going to have that place to turn either. I myself am a beneficiary of the Office of Special Education and Rehab Services. I am a beneficiary of VR training because I am blind since birth, and my parents had a place to go for guidance. My parents had laws with teeth. My parents had somewhere to go if I was not getting the accommodations that I required in order to be on equal ground with my peers.
And if you lose this job, what happens to you?
I'm the only provider in my household. My husband, in fact, is a past Randall Shepherd vendor who lost his business during the pandemic. We just purchased a home 5 years ago in Virginia. We will be faced with the possibility of having to change our entire lives, turn them upside down, and perhaps be in a position where we won't be working anymore, won't be contributing, but we'll have to, become reliant on the assistance that may not be available anymore.
So nobody's going to tell me that cutting this program is about cutting waste, fraud, and abuse.
Exactly. That was actually in my statement.
Is that right? Because I think it's pretty clear. This is about cutting a program where people are able to do a terrific job if they get the opportunity to do it.
Right.
And now the Trump administration wants to take that away.
Yeah, they're not cutting fat, they're cutting muscle and nerve.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate your being here.
Thank you so much for listening to me, Senator.
Thank you.
And thank you for everything that you do.
Well, thank you. Thanks for being part of this.
Christine is a white female with short, curly salt and pepper hair, dressed in a black suit and a black blouse with white dots. Beside her is a white cane. Senator Warren is a white female with short hair and eyeglasses, wearing a blue blazer over a black blouse and black slacks.
Department of Education.
Well, I worked primarily for the Office for Civil Rights, the Department of Education.
So what does that mean?
Well, the Office for Civil Rights has two main functions. We provide guidance to states and schools to help them do better, and we provide a forum for parents to bring complaints when the schools perhaps aren't doing so well.
So what kind of complaints have you gotten?
Well, we deal with any kind of discrimination that's barred by law, so sex discrimination, race, color, national origin discrimination, or discrimination on the basis of disability.
Okay. So if parents say, I have a child who has a pretty significant disability here, and the school is basically telling me to keep my child at home and that they want to educate my child, where do they go?
Well, they could go to the Office for Civil Rights.
So they come to you.
They would come to us.
They come to you, and you try to help them out. And do you actually talk to school districts about what their requirements are?
Absolutely. We provide a forum to either mediate those disputes, or sometimes if it's so egregious, we'll talk to the schools directly and just try and get them in line as quickly as possible.
Right. And are there federal dollars available? Because sometimes it can be really expensive for a child with special needs, may need an aid or a wheelchair or a special bus.
Yes, the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act provides billions of dollars to states and schools for these services.
Mm-hmm. So if you're not there to do your job, how do these families get the help that the federal law says they're supposed to get?
Well, there's a big risk that they won't. The families that can afford their own attorney might be able to bring a case in federal court, but that's a pretty tough practice, and it's a really slow process. Even if they could afford the attorney, there's no guarantee that it would get that resolution in time for the student who is growing up.
Right. So tell me about some of the students that you help.
The Office for Civil Rights handles so many complaints. They take in 15,000 complaints per year as a baseline that they resolve. So we help all kinds of students. We help students who want to go on a field trip to Disney World, but the school doesn't make it accessible. Or students that need a speech language pathologist and the school just disagrees that they really do need it. So.
Yeah, but that's 15,000 while you're still up and operational. That presumes that the schools know and provide the right resources in lots of other cases without ever having to have a dispute with the parents about it.
Yes, that presumes that the schools are telling the parents what their rights are and that there are still people working at the Department of Education able to hear those complaints.
Yeah. So I think about these little kids.
When the states don't provide those resources early on to help kids get started, all they're doing is kicking the can down the road, because the states are going to end up having to support those students later in life when they didn't support them to be able to support themselves.
Right. Spend a nickel now or spend dollars way down the line.
I think we have to come
Thank
up
you for your
with
work.
Joey is a white male with short red hair, glasses, wearing a light blue Oxford shirt under a blue sweater with tan slacks. Jennifer is a white female with long, dirty blonde hair, wearing a light brown sweater, dark brown slacks.
I want to mention that Massachusetts has received 2 of our funding twice through
Good.
us, and they're doing an amazing job, and the people you have
Yep.
working in your state
Our teachers are fabulous.
awesome,
Yeah.
awesome
Yeah.
people, yes.
Yeah.
So it's a
But you're
vibrant-
saying, so you have, the children that you're helping are from 0
Yep,
all the way up through 12th grade,
yes,
because you're still finding children in 6th grade, 8th grade.
yes, and even in high school, and one of the things we're really work on and try to lead also with the department is that teachers, it's not always easy, but in high school, that even high school teachers need to be able to learn to recognize what those reading skills are. They can help identify if they're seeing problems in students, then can they get them the help they need? So it's at all levels, all grades.
So find the children who, for one reason or another, haven't
Yes.
made it through on reading.
Right.
Get the help in, and what kind of help do these kids get?
What we call a lot of it is targeted help and support. So you can identify where are they lacking in their reading skills. Is it with comprehension or spelling, vocabulary? But sometimes you really need to go back to the beginning and the basics and just understanding what we refer to as phonics, which is like identifying, connecting sounds with letters and putting letters together. And if you can help a child or a student do that at any age, they can really start to pick that up and integrate it to be able to read.
So do the kids who participate in your programs, do they actually get better at reading?
Yes, they absolutely do. We know a lot about reading now. There's been a lot of research done, and they understand how kids, all of us, learn to read. One thing that's really important I wanted to mention too is that I know a lot of people don't know this, but reading is not the same for us, for humans, as speaking. You actually have to be taught.
A good point. If you just hang around people who
No.
talk, you'll learn
No,
to talk,
you need
right?
to be taught.
But hanging around readers doesn't get the job done.
No.
Okay.
Yeah,
So your program, would you describe it as a success?
I definitely would. Yes.
And how about the children who get helped? Are they successful?
They absolutely are, yes. And their potential is going to be so much more by being able to read.
That's important.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
At the Blind Muse Foundation, our mission is to communicate, educate, and connect, to give voice to stories that matter, and to shine a light on the people working tirelessly behind the scenes to make a difference. We are honored to have been invited to share part of the AFGE's Local 252 story, a story of advocacy, unity, and the unwavering belief that when we come together, we can create change. Because when we raise our voices together, we strengthen not only our workplaces, but our communities, our schools, and our future. This is Todd Tolson with the Blind Muse Foundation.